and in this corner. So today we're going to read the next chapters. I kept trying to focus on liar and spy in my spot of the corner of the library, but all I could think about was Trey. He'd seen my list of banned books on my locker and studied it enough to draw it and get all the books right on the list. That meant he had to know it had been taken down too. I thought he would have wanted that, but the way he acted when he showed me the picture, it was like he was embarrassed or sorry. Hey, Trey said. I jumped, spitting out a braid I was sucking on. I was just thinking about him, and there he was, standing next to me. Sorry, he said. I didn't mean to scare you. I just drew a new picture of the right to assemble, and I wanted to show you before I went home. Trey showed me. He'd drawn it right this time. The picture was a bunch of people standing on the sidewalk with signs in their hand that all said, "Vote no." All but one. It said, "Magnets. How do they work?" Magnets? How do they work? I asked him. How do they work? It's like magic, he said. His smile told me he was joking. Anyway, that guy has as much right to be there as the rest of them, right? Yeah, I said. Only that's not the freedom of assembly. That's the freedom of speech. Yeah, Trey said. He looked at the floor again. The rest of it works though, I said. And if you draw really great, and you draw really great, all the faces are different. And you even draw the hands. Anytime I had to draw a person, I drew her with her hands behind her back or stuck them in her pocket because I couldn't draw hands and fingers. Trey shrugged. If you want to draw comic books, you have to be able to draw hands. I was about to ask Trey if that's what he wanted to do, draw comic books, when we both heard his mother's voice in the library. "Good afternoon, Miss Jones," Miss Spencer said. "Miss Spencer," Miss Jones said. Miss Jones was wearing a wide green dress with white polka dots. Miss Spencer was wearing a tiny powder blue tracksuit. They looked like the illusions for big and little in a picture book, and they stood staring at each other like those two Dr. Seuss characters who won't get out of each other's way until people build interstates around them. "Is Trey in the library?" Miss Spencer said finally. "I think he's in the back," Miss Jones said. She nodded down the aisle to us, and my heart beat faster. It was dumb. Miss Spencer didn't know who I was or what I was doing with her list of banned books, but I was so nervous I stuck one of my braids in my mouth and sucked on it. "Trey, it's time to go," Miss Spencer called. "I guess my ride's here," Trey said. "See ya." Miss Spencer put her hand on Trey's head and was leading him out of the library when Miss Jones stopped them. "Oh, Miss Spencer, I meant to thank you," she said. Miss Spencer turned. "Thank me?" "For the money you and the PTA raised to bring an author to the school. I just booked someone to visit, Dave Pinkley." Miss Spencer frowned, trying to place the name. "Didn't he write?" "The Captain Underpants books, yes," Miss Jones said. "That you banned?" She could have said that, but she didn't have to because we all knew it. Miss Spencer darkened. "Do you really think that's such a good idea right now?" she asked. "I think it's a great idea right now," Miss Jones said. Miss Spencer looked so small and so mad that I half expected her to say, "Oh, yeah? Well, you just wait until Helen comes and then you'll be sorry." Instead, she turned and led Trey out of the library, her chest heaving in her tracksuit almost as much as if she actually exercised in it. Round three in the boxing match had gone to Miss Jones. Maybe this fight wasn't over yet. Helen comes again. Wait till Helen comes sat in the middle of the cafeteria floor where everyone could see it. Coltrane Farmer had been carrying it in secret under his tray when he ran into Orlando Cho, who was horsing around with Steve Rosales. Coltrane was a second grader with sandy brown hair that lay flat on his head like a Roman general from my history book. He was currently obsessed with rock collecting, and when his tray went flying, it set mac and cheese and chocolate milk and a dozen of minerals of various shapes, sizes, and colors clattering and splattering all over the floor, along with "Wait Till Helen Comes." The kids in the cafeteria were clapping and cheering for him, but I could barely hear him or notice the splattered food and the scattered rocks. Even the gross wet rag smell of the tables went away. It was like the only thing in the room for me at the moment was that book laying there out in the open like a spotlight was on it. All right, that's enough," Principal Bansueska told everyone. Principal Bansueska. "Let me help you," Principal Banskowska told Coltrane, and bent over to pick up the books. In 5 seconds, Detective Banskowska was going to pick up on Prosecution Exhibit A in the case of Wake County School Board versus Amy Ann Olander, and there wasn't a thing I could do about it but sit and watch. "That's my seat," someone across the room yelled. "I was sitting there." "Sit on this," someone else yelled. Two boys tumbled to the floor, kicking and pulling and punching. Just as quickly as they had cheered for Coltrane, the students in the cafeteria started chanting, "Fight! Fight! Fight!" I couldn't see who it was. They were as a tangle of arms and legs before kids fell into a circle around them to watch. Principal Banskowska stood up, handed the book to Coltrane without even looking at it, and ran for the bride. "Break it up! Break it up!" she cried. I carried I hurried over to Coltrane and picked up the empty chocolate milk carton and was pretending to drink from it. "Ah," he said, refreshing. "Go hide that in your locker," I whispered to him. He looked at the chocolate milk carton. "What's this?" "No, the book." He looked at the books in his hands and his eyes went wide as he understood. "Oh gosh, sorry." "Just hurry," I told him, "and don't bring it to read in the cafeteria again." Coltrane hurried off. I went back to my seat and put my head on the table. That had been so close. Coltrane could have gotten into trouble, and then he would have had to tell where he got the book. The locker library was going great, but that meant that there were a lot of banned books out in the hands of Shelbourne Elementary students. It was only a matter of time until another of them slipped up and got caught with the book. Danny and Rebecca came down to sit next to me, and the teacher sent everyone back to their seat. "Was that wait till Helen comes?" Rebecca asked. "Yes," I told her. "And Principal Banskowska had it in her hands." "Lucky thing there was a fight," Danny said. He combed his hair away from his eyes. "Anybody see who it was?" We all got the answer at the same time. The crowd cleared. The Principal, Banskowska, and Miss Green each emerged with a different boy in her hands. One of them I'd seen in the fourth grade hall, but I didn't know. The other one was Jeffrey Gonzalez. "That was my seat," Jeffrey yelled. He lunged for the boy again, but Principal Banskowska held him back. "That's enough," Principal Banskowska said. "We're all going to the office." This time there was no fake oohing and awing from the students. This was real big time trouble, and they knew it. As soon as they were gone, the cafeteria exploded with the excited chatter of everyone reliving every detail of the fight. As bad as it was for Jeffrey, it had been a lucky thing the fight started when it did. Or maybe it wasn't lucky. Maybe Jeffrey had seen the book on the floor and started the fight as a distraction. But did Jeffrey even know about the BBLL? He hadn't that day he walked into the principal's office together. If he'd done it on purpose, it was quick thinking. If he hadn't, it was just perfect timing for me. Either way, Jeffrey was going to be in big trouble. And either way, I owed him a big thank you.